Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Let's get started. Let's do a quick introduction of the team before we share what we've been working on so far. So we're gonna go around the room. We're gonna go Kimberly, myself, Cara, and then Vicky. Please go ahead and introduce yourself to the beautiful world. Whoever is watching us live and replay, thank you all for watching us live. But for whoever's watching us replay, this is an amazing opportunity to brag about yourself. Go for it. Let's go.
Hi, I am Kimberly Jurgen, and I am an actor and screenwriter working in Los Angeles. I have been obsessed with genetics since I was a kid. I originally went to Emory University with a goal of working in genetics at the CDC, and life took many, many turns as I started majoring in curiosity. Jumping from major to major as I just got more and more excited about learning new things, the past, the present, the future, the known, the unknown, the mysterious, all of it. And but then I ended up getting my degree in theater studies and film. And so that is what I've been doing ever since. But I still have such a passion for science. And so when I was introduced to this idea and to these amazing women, and we came together to create this, I was so excited about what the new science is showing us about the power of genetics and understanding what makes you tick on a genetic level. It just really lit me up. So I'm very excited.
Awesome. That was an exciting introduction, which is going to be a very hard one to follow, but I'm going to try my best. Hello, everyone. I am Madhurima. My name goes like a wave, so it's very easy to pronounce. If you imagine it going Madhurima. I am a global stress management facilitator, and what that means is I love supporting multi-passionate, ambitious dreamers manage their stress and even burnout so that they can achieve their dreams and goals without their own selves holding them back. I'm also on a mission to make stress management fun, because why not? And one of the ways that I do that is by being a part of this amazing team. We have been exploring so many things inside the world of genetics ever since we got started on this work, especially with a focus on stress management, which I absolutely love that these ladies gave me the opportunity to just, here you go, stress, which is really exciting. And we're going to be diving deeper into that inside our genetic harmony course as well, which will tell all about it later down this line. But yeah, we are in this space, and I'm really excited because there's so many amazing nuggets. There's so much to learn. Like, did you all know there were more than 100 genes that actually affect our intelligence? That's crazy. Like, there's so much knowledge that's still being uncovered, that's still being researched, and it's super exciting to be a part of this amazing world and bringing in genetics and coaching to you all together. So yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you for being here. Let's go over to Cara. The mic is yours, love.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Cara. I know most of you. And if you have heard me talk, odds are pretty good you've heard me yell out epigenetics at some point in the conversation. So this is the culmination of that experience. I am over the moon. I have been diving into leadership epigenetics for the last 4 years. And then we got together with a geneticist last year and started to really look at flipping the script from illness to wellness. And what does that mean? And what is that going to take? And what does that conversation even start to look like? Because so much has been around the illness. And you also know that my big thing is dismantling that hustle cult, which is all about that illness of working till you die or killing yourself to succeed, which is not terribly successful. And turns out we can create our entire reality. We already knew that. It's been around. Toltec used this wisdom for the 4 agreements. They've been talking about this in The Secret for decades. None of this information is new, but we now have the science that validates it and can track it in real time. And I am delighted to share this with you guys.
Let's go. That was beautiful. Vicky, you're up next, my love.
Hi, I'm Vicky Stingle, and I've got a background in the healthcare industry, so mine is science-based as well, but also very interested in how movement and health play a part. And then I gravitated, like everybody else in my group here with these wonderful ladies, met the geneticist, looked into the epigenetics, which I dabbled in just a little bit here and there, and love bringing these two items together, you know, health, wellness, and behavioral science. I think this is going to be an awesome, awesome experience. And I just love working with these ladies and enjoy bringing wellness to everybody. So thank you.
Let's go. Now that you know the masterminds behind this amazing, amazing work, let's actually talk about the works. Let's give you an introduction to the concept of epigenetics and what does it mean? What does epigenetics mean? What does behavioral genetics mean? What is the work that we're doing? And yeah, I'm going to open up the stage for my beautiful ladies to jump in there and share about what you think it's all about epigenetics. Wow, words.
I know,
Yeah,
I'm jumping right in because I love this. Okay, so I just got in I was just doing a couple of weeks ago defining epigenetics for a bunch of grade schoolers. So I have a really simple definition. Now, okay, it's not perfect science, but it will conceptualize this for you, right? So if anybody's super into the genetic world, don't come at me, but we're going to get you close, okay? So if you imagine your DNA is essentially a catalog of proteins that your body needs to create itself, right? And your body goes in and it reads the DNA and it pumps out the proteins that create you on the daily basis. The epigenetics are like little tags on your DNA that make it easier to read or harder to read. So if there are not enough epigenetic tags on there, it's like you are looking at a copy of a copy of a copy, and the DNA prints out like proteins. But if there's a bunch of tags on it, it's like, oh, this is really good protein, and it puts out the tightest. And those tags come from how you behave in the world. So starting from the way you just think and the creation of neurons from that to the chemicals that you put into your body, the chemicals that pump around in your hormone soup, all of those can add epigenetic tags, and we can now track that in real time on how you are activating and deactivating the traits in your genes by your choices.
As you all can see, we are so excited. Like, we're jumping around. We're the core team. We have been talking about this for a while, but we are like, that's so exciting. And yes, oh my gosh, this conversation is all about nature and nurture, not nature versus nurture. And we are so excited to bring this to you guys, because I think a lot of times there comes into the conversation that, oh, this is not in my hands, this is all in my genes. But we're not talking about illness, we're talking about wellness, we're talking about self-development, we're talking about growth, and how if we create a beautiful system that nurtures what we want to nurture, we might be able to fast track our growth and really hit our goals a lot quicker. I mean, it's not a conversation of whether you can hit the goals, it's a conversation about how fast can you hit it. And that's what we are trying to look into. But yeah, let's go. Kimberly, Vicky, do you guys want to add anything into this beautiful space?
Yeah, I would. One of the things that I found incredibly fascinating about nature and nurture is how they totally complement each other, and it's a bridge between the two. I love studying. I told y'all I love studying the past, and so I love, like, historically how that debate started. And I love how we've turned from a debate of it's one or the other into what it is now, which is understanding how incredibly connected they are, that there is the who you are. So even if something is a protein, as Cara said, that was kind of your environment can still amplify that in a way that you didn't even know in your genes. It's kind of And so finding that alignment between those things that are awesome in you, but then maybe things in your environment kind of stifled it. But finding out where you want to prioritize all of those parts of you that are part of your nature, and then things that happen to you in your life, knowing that these are things that are not built in, so you can cling to those. Or if there are things where you realize, you know what, I do have a part of me that has been stifled, so let me get in and see what I can do about unraveling the knot that has prevented this part of me from shining bright. And that's one of the beautiful things about understanding what is in your DNA. It doesn't mean that you are forced into being something other. It means you've got options. For me, I did not discover, I found a lot of issues when I was in middle school and high school. I didn't understand what was going on. I thought I was just awkward and and things like that. But then, so I had to create strategies so that I could move forward and succeed. And it wasn't until I got to college. So it was a good thing I started studying biology, because that is where I discovered dyslexia on a page in a book in my biology text. And that was where I realized, oh my gosh, that is me. That is what has been a part of me all this time. And so if I had known that early on, then I could have had help in creating strategies around it. But I had to do all that by myself, because it didn't occur to me that this was something that I should talk about, or that I could, find help with. And so discovering something that is part of me is not a broken or something that has to be fixed, but something that I can embrace. And so that's what I've done ever since, is truly embrace it. And so now I see all of my neurospicy. I'm a neurospicy introvert. So all of my neurospicy is part of what makes me freaking awesome. And I am so excited about how it makes me different and the things that my brain can do that folks who don't have this, I'm so sorry, your brain can't do this. And it's great. Your brain does amazing, awesome things that mine doesn't do. And that's what makes us all incredibly cool. But it's knowing those things. It helps to understand what was going on, and knowledge is power. And that's what understanding your DNA and what these things mean helps you then make decisions about where you want to go next, and what you want to nurture next, and how you want to nurture it.
Ooh, Mama, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your story. That really meant a lot to us. And yeah, that is quite literally what we are trying to do here in a nutshell, is understand what makes us tick, what makes us move, what makes us grow, essentially. And understanding that gives us an idea as to how we can nurture the traits that we want to use. It's kind of like having this, those old time stereos. You could turn the knob of the music to volume high up or volume low down. What we're trying to do is put our hand on the knob and be like, this is how high I want it to be, and this is what we want to work on. And so that is extremely beautiful, and it segues into what we're going to talk about next, which is what are we trying to achieve with genetic edge coaching. So who wants to take up?
Before we go, I would love to ask the crowd what questions you have so far. What's coming up for you guys? Sorry, I'm fully talking over Madhurima's breaking up there, but
I'm gonna go to Cara.
I felt the need to just jump in, if that's okay. This is like medicine this morning. I have been on a lifelong, I don't want to say battle, because it ultimately is curiosity, but some days feel like a battle, right? Of like how to make sense of this world. It's so beautiful and confusing and messy and all the things in between. But this is medicine, because I'm deeply engaged and intrigued about this topic, and particularly from like a social epidemiology perspective, because I care a lot about interconnectivity between people and how communities help synchronize and synergize each other's energies. So that's my big like obsession and like life's work at the moment. But to really get down to the science of the interpersonal and the inner work, like the discovery of self, that's the journey I'm on. And then as I improve at that, I'm stepping into my, I'm going to just copy everyone's words. I love Kimberly's words. Like, I'm stepping into my brightest light, because I'm doing the self-discovery but it's hard. Some days are just really tough. So I was kind of having a tricky week. So this is just seeing your faces, hearing your stories, your pure abundance and joy. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm in the right place at the right time. It's synergy. It's meant to be, you know what I mean? So thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just overjoyed right now. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and I want to validate that with the science. So one of the things that we have learned in this is that choosing to do your inner work, and it's work, like it's a weekly overload of responsibility and knowledge. Who are we kidding? It's the real work of life, is handling this hot mess before we address this hot mess, right?
Yeah.
That choice to choose happy for you, that choice to lean into the things that make you smile only for the reason that they make you smile and it makes you happier right now. We with this behavioral genetics science that is expanding right now, they are able to track in real time not only how that impacts you at a genetic level, but that actually ripples out from you and can impact the DNA of the people around you. So you are so powerful. You are so powerful that choosing to do things that make you happy increases happiness in everyone you come in contact with at a genetic DNA level.
That's so awesome. Are we in different times or what? Like is nature healing or what?
Living in the future is cool, right? I'm very, very, very Jetsons right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
Thank you for sharing. That was really powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a question from Milan where he wanted to ask us or talk to us about how our behaviors affect our genes, which is what we're talking about. I think we can all touch upon it. I can touch up specifically on the sleep and stress part of things because I think, and this is being researched, like if you do not sleep enough, it actually changes your DNA, it changes how your DNA is being read. And you can actually read the book called Why We Sleep, which actually talks a bit about how our DNA is actually affected by the sleep that we are getting and the amount of sleep that we are getting. So if we get poor quality of sleep, it prevents our brains or the proteins from reading the DNA completely, and that affects us once again epigenetically, and that kind of makes a mess out of things in life in real time. So there are both like real time changes and overtime changes. Even with stress, a lot of times, if you were to think about it like this, a lot of times when we are stressed out, we are in the phase our prefrontal cortex is switched off. So we are only kind of like reacting to things and not responding to things. And that means that a huge part of our brain, which logically approaches situations, is switched off. If you're stuck in a chronic stress response, that means that there's this huge part of our brain that's not actually actively working, actually moving and doing the things that we need to be doing. That inadvertently leads to our DNA not being expressed and leads to epigenetics not actually working. We had a couple of examples as well from the geneticists that we were working with, and the amount of work that we have done around this, where, if someone's really shy, actually, Karajin, would you love to share the story about how this person was really shy and how, with the use of epigenetics, we actually shifted the way that they approach situations?
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, that was kind of the story right there. Literally, the whole life did that introvert thing, sort of what the story with Kimberly was talking about, right? But didn't necessarily have any of those words. So the study that this came from, it was two children. It was one who both had the DNA, had the genetic traits of shyness. However, one set of parents were very much into the let's explode, let's go out, let's explore, let's burst through all of those barriers. And that child developed skills, tools, mindsets, things that activated that trait and created those neural pathways that impacted the DNA, and that kind of softened her shyness. She was less shy. versus the other child who had also shy parents, and they were really all about, like, they were very happy to stay home and read their books and chat with people on the internet and live a more quiet life. And that child grew up in empowering those genes in their traits, and they became more shy. And so they both had the DNA. It's sort of like twins, but just because twins come out with very matching DNA does not mean you end up with the same human being on the other side of that. And that is a direct relation to how the nature versus nurture story folds out when we start talking about behavioral genetics and wellness instead of just looking at it as an illness thing. Yeah. And I
Yep,
saw a
there
question from
is.
Ruth. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that the work that we actually dive a bit deeper into the genetic harmony course that we'll tell you all about later on, but we take a deeper dive into what are genes. Like, even if you're coming into the space with like zero knowledge about genes, what does this mean? Or like you forgot about it, you've studied, but you've forgotten, which is completely understandable. We actually dive deeper into all of these concepts, and nature and nurture. The conversation is actually taken in depth inside the course that we are doing. But simply to understand, it's once again, how are we creating a space where we can nurture the behaviors that we want to nurture? How are we ensuring that these genes are being read? The trait that we want to express is getting expressed. So, for example, if you are an introvert, but you have the gene for charisma, you can't really be a charismatic person if you're constantly inside the room, which is extremely true for me. I have been stuck in my house. The charismatic individual you see now has been a shut-in for 24 years. This is like 4 years of me actually getting into the world of coaching and being like, oh no, I need to get out there. And then the more I nurtured, the more I stepped into spaces where I could allow my charisma to show through, the more I became the charismatic person, the more I touched up on that gene and was like, I'm amazing. Come and, be in my shine and listen to what I have to say because I'm dope at what I do. So it's kind of like that. You have a gene, you want that gene to be expressed, but you don't know how to express it. We create the strategies, we come up with ideas where you create an environment where this gene can be nurtured. If that makes sense, if that's landing, let me know if it does, Milan. And so sorry to cut over you.
Nope, that was
Kara.
perfect.
We
I'm
have a
actually
question
going
from
to
Ruth.
just double down on that because Ruth asked, how does meditation affect epigenetics? And that aligns beautifully with what you were just saying, right? So one thing that we have learned in this is that it takes only about 20 seconds to create for neurogenesis to happen, to literally create new life in your brain around a concept. I'm going to swing backwards to woo-woo over here, okay? So if you heard the story, there are two wolves inside of you. Right? There is one wolf that is looking for the good, for the great, for the better, best. And then there is one who is worried and angry and anxious. And the question is, which wolf wins? The one you feed. And that goes directly back to the science. So the woo-woo matches the science. When you choose to think a thought and then you step into a meditative space and calm and still the rest of the mess that is going on inside there and focus on that one thought, on that little neuro baby. You feed it, you nurture it, you love it, just like you would with a little baby human. You love it and feed it and it grows. Like you hug the baby trying to keep him small, but I swear it makes him get bigger. You know what I mean? Same thing with the neuro babies. If you love on them and sit in that meditative state and really allow yourself to focus on it, your brain will start, genius dynamic thing that your brain is, will start mapping and creating deep pathways around that. So the more you feed that, the stronger it gets. The more tags you add at an epigenetic level, the more you're impacting your DNA. Right? Science.
So good. Let's go. Neuroplasticity.
Did,
Hashtag neuroplasticity.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Just to jump in quick, I just had a quick question. How does that relate to when people talk about the need to set boundaries? Because I very much identify with the two wolves, and I like love to love and I love to give, and I've just repeatedly found myself in situations where I have to like take a step back from that, and I'm always trying to find that right balance, and I just can't say I've fully discovered it yet.
We okay with me jumping on this one? Yeah. Love the question around boundaries here. Thank you.
Yeah.
So interesting take. Boundaries. You never set boundaries for other people. You only ever set them for yourself. And you set them with the intention of them being broken. I'm going to say that again. So we're going to set boundaries for ourselves with the intention of them being broken, because this is an internal thing. We have come up with this boundary. And unless you are walking around with a list of your boundaries to show everybody as you walk through town, which none of us do, then they're all in your head. Nobody can see them. So of course, other people are going to cross those boundaries. They weren't for them. They're for us, so that when it gets crossed, we know what we're going to choose to do. And that goes into that epigenetic space of, so my trained or programmed from childhood reaction is to be mad about something, right? Like I'm upset about it. And every time this happens, I'm getting mad about it. So I'm going to put a boundary in place. I'm going to meditate on it. I'm going to set my space. And I'm going to say, when this happens, instead of getting mad, I'm going to raspberry it. And that is now going to become a behavior I'm going to practice and cultivate and create. That boundary is for me. So when somebody gets across that boundary, rather than reacting mad, I'm going to practice and allow myself a change. And the more you do that, the more you choose that pathway, the more you nurture that boundary, the stronger you, to the point where the first 3 times you get mad and then you're like, oh, I mean, I'm not mad, I'm right. And then 6 months from now, you're just naturally. And then a year from now, you've got a completely different one because you're like, well, bored with that. Let's do something different.
Yeah.
But now the boundary doesn't matter. You've removed the trigger from somebody else to push because you have decided what your reaction to that's going to be. Doesn't matter about them.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I have the funniest story to share. I'll just really fast. I've been working on staying present because I get in my head all the time, and then it develops anxiety and triggers and all that. And I was like, okay, well, like I was kind of like I resort to like crying to like get out of my anxiety. And I was like, I want to turn that into laughter, right? Like that's like been one of my intentions. It's like I want to turn that into laughter. And I was sitting in my bed, just like depressed, like anxious, like like starting to cry. And I was just like, thank you, pillow. And I just started laughing. Like I was like, I love my pillow. Thanks. He's here for me right now. It's like everything you need is in your present moment. I was like, it's my pillow. I love him. I was like, hey, it worked. It worked.
Yep.
I do that. I think inanimate objects and have conversations with them all the time.
Yeah. It's like, thank you, pillow. You're so kind.
And I think with that example with the boundaries too, I think with our traits, we can nurture those as well, the ones that we really want to emphasize. So, I'm looking forward to this journey as well with everybody and trying to explore, how I can nurture the different ones that are inside me as well.
Mm-hmm. I'd be curious to understand what the main like anything in your environment can influence this, or is it some things higher than others? Like how people are running towards plant medicines and all these things, like what are it's like my pillow example, is that like even the pillow can influence this, or like the just everything, right? Like it's all connected, right? Like that's the idea.
We're all part of energy and atoms. We're all made up of atoms and energy. So when you were mentioning how you influence other people, and Cara was mentioning, how we express ourselves or share a part of ourselves, and it can, like the joy can overwhelm the crowd or the person next to you because of that energy and those atoms that are vibrating, so fast that it jumps over to the next person. And then the sadness too can be the same way. Just like when you're in a movie theater and you're seeing something, that's sad, everybody's, wiping their tears and stuff like that. So the energy is all involved.
One of the exciting things about physics is how everything truly is all connected. Even the most random things, it is all connected. And so when you look at your DNA and your genetic makeup, you are looking at the tendencies And some of those tendencies will need a lot more influence than others because something might be diminished. So it's going to need a lot more to bring it up to the level that you might want it to be at in your life to be optimal. But other things might already be here, but it's just kind of sitting over here collecting dust in the corner. And so it's not going to need anything but just dusting it off. And it's already in there working for you at full capacity. So that is how we are able to grow those parts within us that we want to have more present in what we do, and grow that connection that we have with others. But the more that we see and recognize the connections that we all have, that immediately creates that bridge of understanding.
Yeah.
And a bridge to learning what there is to learn from each of those things, from our pillow, from her, whatever.
I love that. And how about, and sorry, anyone else, please jump in. I have a bajillion questions. What about like the fear, about microplastics and all these things? Like, what do you say to that? Like, are they really here to kill us all, or can we transform that energy too?
So I'm just going to say this. This is a beautiful question, and I think we can keep diving on it and diving deeper into it. And obviously, I'm there. I'm back. Sorry, I must have probably frozen in a weird face out there. But we are actually at time right now, so we are going to do a quick wrap up. But before I do, if anyone wants to jump in and share in one sentence to what Sierra was saying, you guys can share that. But I just wanted to remind everyone we are at time or over time. So we're going to wrap
What
this
is
up.
time? Time isn't an illusion.
I'm an Einstein time person, so it's all relative. I don't subscribe to Newtonian time limit whatsoever.
Me too.
Yeah. I will just say this: the way that you react to unfamiliar and uncertain circumstances, which is what causes the fear response, is DNA. So it's not that we can change microplastics, but we can change what we think about it and what we do next when we learn about it. And that is something that you can nurture in yourself if you do find yourself having a higher fear response to things that are coming at you that are unknowns and potentially dangerous. You can nurture something that might be one of those, lower proteins. You can nurture it to increase it so that your nervous system is less triggered and you can react in a way that you choose.
That's directly links to the warrior gene. So there is one gene that, depending on which parts of it you spend time on, you will become more of a worrier or more of a warrior, and it's the same genetic marker. How freaking cool is that?
Wow. So how would you put that into actual words, like microplastics? What would be the word choice you might use around that? Like that it's just like a full circle part of the process, like part of the
Well, I don't believe that we have to just accept anything as is. Again, that's what science teaches us. Things are always evolving and moving and changing.
Yeah.
So it's how we respond to it. What do you do next now that you are aware of this?
Yeah.
And that is where that warrior gene can help you in choosing your next step. Are you going to sit in worry, or are you going to take action and do something?
Okay. I like that. Yep. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. And that's what this is all about. This is a conversation about new awareness for new action. That's what we are working towards, is understanding our genetics, understanding our behavioral traits, and then further nurturing it, and also potentially we will be touching up on this, the neuroplasticity of it. The more you practice something, the easier those pathways are created, the more you respond with that specific action. And my kind of piggybacking off of what Cara was saying earlier, that is what this conversation is all about. Now, because we are a Newtonian type, oh, that sucks. Here's what we're going to do. I wanted to invite the Genetic Edge coaching team to talk a tad bit about what we are doing with Genetic Harmony. What are we building in the space right now? What are we working towards that is actually helping us shift our awareness into action? Who wants to go up first? The stage is ours. Quite literally.
Are we doing this as a wrap up so we can?
We
Okay,
are.
perfect.
We are.
Okay, so
Yep.
I would say it's this. What we are doing right here, this is the point to the Genetic Edge coaching. This is what we are looking to do, is to give this information that is there, that has been there, but it is not being talked about, and it is so impactful. And we each come from a different place in using this. So we have a vast array of tools, techniques, ways that we would do it that will spark ideas on how you could take this information and impact yourself with it. And that is entirely what the course is about. It is 6 weeks of deep diving into the science, helping you understand it in a way that you can apply it to yourself. And this is a little teaser about the future. And we are in the process of creating a database that has both the wellness as well as the illness traits for each of the genetic markers. Now, we only have a small list, but part of the beta is going to fund being able to create an entire wellness and get on some genetic interns. So also, if you happen to know any genetic interns, please send them our way.
So let's go. That's powerful. Okay. I just wanted to quickly add, if anyone in the space has any questions for us, put it in the chat. We will get to you. We'll respond to it as quickly as you want. I know, Kimberly, you're about to say, so I'm gonna give the mic off to you so that you can talk a bit about genetic harmony.
Yes. Our goal with Genetic Harmony is to make an impact, but also empower you, because knowledge is power. My learning that that there was a name, dyslexia, that connected to what my experience was, is what opened the door for me to first off find peace with it, because I was no longer confused. It was no longer this open loop in my brain that I just wasn't able to close and was constantly hanging over, because I never knew when it was going to, how it was going to show up, where it was going to show up. And so that's what this course will do, is to connect the woo and the science in a way that whatever is your zone of genius, your approach to living your life, to doing your business, to creating relationships, that you are doing it empowered with the knowledge of who you are, and that you can control, you can be in alignment with, is probably a better way to phrase it, because control sounds like that seems a little stressful. But it's getting into alignment with who you are and finding those keys to unlock the parts of you that have perhaps been dormant.
Love
and coming
that.
into
Vicky,
the fullness of who you are.
I love that. Vicky, do you want to add anything?
Well, I think everybody said everything just perfectly. And I just want to welcome everybody for coming and taking their time out of their busy schedule to join us today. We're so excited. And yeah, we just want to empower you. Just want to give you more tips and tricks and things that can assist you in your journey in life.
Of that. Awesome. I'm then going to bring the space to a close with once again a reminder: new awareness for new action. Awareness is where it starts, but we're not leaving you there. We're not leaving you high and dry, essentially. We're going to take it further and bring in the action so that it makes sense for you on how you can start operating on the awareness that you're getting from how you operate on a very cellular level, on a very DNA and genetic level. So yeah, that is the work that we're doing, bringing in epigenetics, behavioral genetics, and coaching. Let's go. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, a quick reminder, you can't learn all that we're doing within Genetic Harmony. Like, there's an in-depth knowledge already shared on the link that Cara has been posting. So check it out. Check out what we are trying to explore and build out inside the Genetic Harmony space. and join us. We would love for you to join us in there. Thank you so much for being here. The replay will be posted and will be shared in a mail to you so that you guys have access to it. Thank you so much for being here. Lots of love. Take care, and we shall see you all next Friday. Let's go.